think? Why do you think there's animosity between journalists and people in the military? I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but
it's a two-way street, definitely. And let's just be honest that there have been cases where journalists have actually burned military units where they did, bend the truth to their own agenda or something like that. And then there's also been cases where the military tried to hide something from the media, which causes suspicion on the media's part and all that type of stuff. So it is a two-way street, and things have happened. But I would say that those cases are more rare than anything else. Like, you hear all these horror stories about, oh, this journalist was embedded and we all thought he was our friend. And then when we read the article, they said that we were like performing rituals around dead bodies, just something ridiculous. And I think it's just these stories that have grown bigger and bigger that maybe started as half-truths or something like that, or it happened one time, and it's always, oh, a friend of a friend of a friend. This happened to a friend of a friend of a friend or something, but people hear those stories and they get scared, and fear is a powerful motivator because people want self-preservation, so they just think it's just better not to trust journalists whatsoever. And some of it is, it's actually a kind of complicated thing because some of it is people are told not to talk to journalists by, the higher ups just don't want some of the lower ranking guys or some of the less disciplined guys just saying something's ridiculous or something that they're not supposed to. And another thing is some people want their 15 minutes of fame and will basically talk to a journalist and tell them almost anything that they want to hear as long as their name's going to get put in the paper. And a lot of the other guys who, maybe hold the mission like a little more sacred and stuff, look at that and they really frown upon the guys that are in front of the camera because they think like, oh, you're doing this for all the wrong reasons. You're doing this because you want glory, you want people to write about you and, perceive you as a hero and stuff like that, and we're doing it because we believe in the mission. And so there's a little bit of an animosity. And so, I mean, there was actually plenty of times where I mean, on more than one occasion, you'd see someone getting interviewed, and there's just a bunch of people just mad dogging them and just like, oh. And a couple guys would walk around behind where the video camera was and pretend like they tripped over a rock and scream out like an expletive so that was no longer useful film and stuff like that. Because and basically all because it's like, look, we're all in this together. One person shouldn't be getting this. I mean, it's a big issue. Like, it really is. It's, but there isn't one, there isn't one thing I can put my finger on and say it's that, but...
Do you think some of it has to do with the fact that journalists are civilians? Or that they know that civilians are the ones going to be, like, reading or watching?
Sure. Yeah, I think that would be fair to say that because they're civilians. Not everyone in the military thinks like, oh, civilians just fat, undisciplined, and whatever. But maybe they do think a little bit that like, oh, you can't relate or whatever, and maybe they get sick of any time anyone shoots a gun anywhere outside of the United States, Anderson Cooper shows up on scene in his tight black t-shirt and is like, I was there. And maybe they're sick of seeing that a little bit.
Oh, the whole
like,
Brian Williams thing?
Yeah, or, like journalists, taking credit for like, oh, I put myself in danger. And these guys are like, you have no idea what real danger really is, and